Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming out to our informational meeting about Senate Bill 128. We're going to share some information with you. I'm going to take this off just to make sure the people in the back can hear me. I think we're far enough away that we'll be okay. But we're going to share some information with you today about this potential bill, or this bill that has passed, and the implications for your children and our children as Carter Countyans if this becomes something that our district does. And we're going to go over the timeline with you. And basically everything we're going to share with you today, except one sentence, is from the Kentucky Department of Education. One sentence in here was optional, something that we put in that did not come from the Department of Education, but is left up to each district to decide. So other than that, the things in it are not negotiable. They're not things that we did to make it more difficult for people or to make it easier for people. And as you might imagine, something like this, there are different viewpoints. We're not going to be deciding anything tonight, and I'm glad I don't make that decision, okay? But what I can tell you is that I've had several emails. I think, unless I've missed one or associated with the wrong place, all of them have come from the west side of the county. And I will share every one of those with board members. I will make sure that before they make any kind of decision that they have access to every email that has been sent to me. And I will tell you, for those of you that hear, I assume some of these are from the young men that maybe are here today. So I will tell you that I will be reaching out to everyone that sent an email to say that we just have a very simple little form that we're going to ask either you to fill out if you're already 18, or your parents to fill out if you're not 18, in order to be considered for that. So, but we'll make sure that everybody knows to do that. And if you're here tonight and you're one of the ones that have already sent me an email, then you'll just know you need to have your parents fill that out and sign it. So, but we'll go ahead and get started. I'm Ronnie Dotson. I'm the superintendent. This is Ryan Tomalonis. Many of you know him from the middle school, but he is the personnel director. And together we're going to just share this information with you. And then we'll try to answer any questions. But to be honest with you, we're telling you pretty much everything we know is going to be here. But there might be questions that you have that we can contact the Department of Education to get clarification on things if you need it.
And we have been in contact with them several times the last couple of weeks. It was daily there about a week ago. We were in contact with someone from KDE. And I've been in contact many times with the Commissioner, Julian Tackett, for KHSAA. So a lot of our questions got answered before we come out and do this to share with you. I'm going to start with the packet that gave parents. I think I gave every parent one. Like Mr. Dotson said, the front cover is the application page. And even though those of you that sent emails to request that, we're going to ask that you fill this out. And there's not a place for a signature, but if you're under 18, under the boxes, under the rectangle box where the information goes, if a parent will sign and date it there, then that will be good for us knowing that you are in support of this. As you all know, this Senate Bill 128, it was passed in the state legislature. The governor signed off on it, and now it's in the hands of the local boards of education to make a decision, and we're going to cover that timeline here in just a few minutes. Our goal tonight is to give you as much information about this as we can. Our information is coming from that packet. That packet was updated April 16th, which was Friday. So all the information that we have is fresh, and that's what we're going to go by. We're going to tell you what it is and what it isn't in this Senate bill. All right, and like Mr. Dotson said, this is not our decision. We're not making any decision tonight. The Board of Education, the 5 board members, will make that decision in May. We're going to start with what is this? All right, the purpose of Senate Bill 128 is for students K through 12. All right, we're not singling out any certain grade level. It's not just for seniors. It's not just for elementary students. To use this next coming school year, 21-22, as a supplemental year to retake or supplement courses that the student had already taken for academic purposes due to the pandemic. All right, we're going to go into more detail about the retake there in just a few minutes. The one sentence that Mr. Dotson mentioned that's not in that packet that was left up to the local boards of education, and we checked this out, and our board agrees that the supplemental year, if passed, must be in-person learning next year. There's no virtual option for a supplemental year at any grade level if passed. All right, that's the only thing that you're not going to find in that packet that we're sharing with you tonight. You have anything else about that?
No.
Okay. Like I said, we're going to tell you what it's not. Okay, and this may clear up some questions that you may have had coming in that you were going to ask here in a little while. The supplemental year program is not an opportunity to explore coursework they otherwise didn't have the opportunity to take. So if you were in the business track or you were in the carpentry track and this passes and you have the opportunity to come back, it's not an opportunity to say, I'd like to try welding next year, or I'd like to try engineering. I didn't get to do that. That's not what it is. Okay? It is not an opportunity to improve or change GPA for graduating seniors. Okay? Now, however, underclass students will have that opportunity, and we'll get into that. We've got a slide just for undergraduate students. All right? Basically, the reason being is you're going to see seniors, current seniors, are going to graduate next month. They have to. They meet the requirements, the state requirements. They're going to graduate. They're not going to be considered high school students in this program.
So it's not an option to postpone graduation. Kentucky state law says when you have the credits to graduate, and I've talked with both high school principals, and every student in Carter County meets eligibility this year to graduate. So it is not an option to say, I want to wait and graduate with the class next year. That's not a decision we're making. That's Kentucky state law that says every person who meets graduation criteria must graduate this year.
And then they'll be considered a post-secondary student if this was to happen. All right, it's not an opportunity to receive additional credits for those graduating seniors.
And it's also not an opportunity to receive additional credits for any student other than the credits of the classes you took this year. And we actually just got an email from the Commissioner of Education about 2 days ago to caution against that. That's why he just really expressed the fact it has to be the same classes. Because if a student is a sophomore and they took a business class and got credit for that, and then next year I let them take a class besides that same business class, and then they got another credit, they could be ready to graduate as juniors. And the law says when they get the credits to graduate, they must graduate. It's not an option to not graduate. So it has to be, and some of you might be wondering, well, where does the supplemental come in? And we actually called KDE and asked that very question. Where does the supplemental come in? And the example I was given was this. This year, many of our juniors and seniors took college classes. All right? Obviously, we cannot mandate that they take and pay for a college class next year. So what we would do is, and this was the example that I was given by KDE, was English 102 is typically a writing class. And so they said maybe you could put the children that had English 102 last year, you could put them in a supplemental class that would be some kind of creative writing that would supplement what they had in English 102. So if we offer the class, then it's supposed to be the exact same class. If we do not offer the class anymore, like for example, years ago, Spanish used to be given here, and then when the teacher retired and they couldn't find a teacher, then they don't have Spanish. So if that were the case, then we would have to supplement that class since it's no longer here if you'd have had it this year with something else. So if the class is no longer offered, we'd have to find something, and what they told us was to find something as closely related to it as possible.
It's not an opportunity to increase keys money.
And that is for graduating seniors. Now, you could possibly increase your keys money if you are not a graduated senior. However, I will tell you this, and you know, I can't guarantee this in every situation, and I will say we have had some kids that have done very little this year, but for those that have really tried, then it would be hard for me to believe you're going to get a better grade from coming and being in person, because we were very lenient on our grading system this year, and very lenient on the time scale. Sometimes we'd let kids turn stuff in 2 months late just to try to get them to do it. So, but if you are a child that did not get an A in a class and you get an A next year when you retake that class, then you could increase your keys money if you are not a senior. But if you are a senior this year, then you cannot increase your keys money over whatever you get when you graduate is what you've got.
Okay, and it's not a time to postpone graduation. We've already covered that part. Timeline, all right? K-12 students have until May 1st to submit the request to the Carter County Board of Education. And those of you that are here tonight, I know we've had several that sent emails, but we're going to ask that the cover page of this packet be filled out, signed by a parent, and turned in to us before May 1st. The Board of Education has until June 1st to decide whether to accept all requests or no requests. It's not based on individual requests, it's all or none. Okay, it's all or none. And then, if approved, the board has until June 16th. They have until June 16th to come up with a plan on how this is going to be handled and submitted to KDE. All right, graduation. This is for seniors. Okay, most of that packet deals with seniors coming back. All right, the law is stated right there. Pursuant KRS, that's law 158.1402. Students who meet all state and local graduation requirements will receive a high school diploma once requirements have been met. It's not an option to put it off until next year. Okay, they have to graduate. So next month, all of our seniors sitting in here will graduate. Graduated students shall not receive any additional certifications as a result of coursework unless the student completes the course and remains enrolled in the program until the completion of such course. No credits will be awarded after graduation. All right, so if this passes and they're allowed to come back and take classes, their credits won't be awarded. Now, it could show on their transcript that they were enrolled in what classes, but it will not go towards their accumulated credits that they've already received to graduate. Final GPA will be calculated at the time of graduation. So again, like we said before, your classes will not, or a senior cannot improve their GPA by doing this. Graduated students will not be eligible for dual credit or work-ready scholarships. If they've already taken advantage of that, then they wouldn't be able to do that. And I guess if you didn't do it this year, you couldn't do it coming up because, is that right? They would be pursuing.
Right.
So if they didn't take advantage of that, they wouldn't be able to do it again next year.
Right.
Graduated seniors who return and wish to take post-secondary courses must pursue dual enrollment, no dual credit.
And again, that's not our rule. That's part of, we took this right out of the KDE guidance that we gave to you. I will say this, I would see a major benefit to seniors if they could come next year and go take dual credit classes and be able to do that at the reduced rate that we get classes for, but you cannot. And we've contacted all of the colleges that our students typically work with here locally, ACTC, KCU, Morehead State University, and all of them say that if students enroll after graduation, they will have to pay regular tuition. They will not get a reduced rate.
And that was the next slide there. Post-secondary institutions will determine that cost, and like Mr. Dotson said, our local universities, colleges have already decided that. They've already told us that would be the case. All right, KHSAA, Kentucky High School Athletic Association, and all of this has come from the commissioner himself. I sat in on a Zoom meeting and also contacted him on the phone. KHSAA requires students to be full-time students to be eligible. Students must be enrolled in 4 classes, which is 4 hours.
That is what KHSAA says. Of course, if you're a student in Carter County Schools, you don't come to school for just 4 hours. So you will be a full-time student if this passes. But that we just gave you the regulation for KHSAA that you had to take at least 4 hours in order to be eligible.
Bylaw 2, which has been in place, and this hasn't changed, and I'm pointing this out because they're going to stand by it, that a student cannot turn 19 years of age prior to August 1st of 2021 and be eligible. Okay, that's always been in place, and it's not going to change, and it'll be in place again. Now, if you have children that are underclassmen and you're going to request this, you may want to think about that down the road, because this isn't going to change. If your child in 2026 is going to turn 19 before August 1st and still have a year of schooling left, they're not going to be eligible. Okay, so this is a trickle-down effect down all the way down to kindergarten if this was to pass. All right, this may apply to some people, and you may see the consequences of that down the road if you don't pay attention to that. But bylaw 2 has been in place, will be in place, and again, it states that 19 years of age prior to August 1st of this year to be eligible to play a sport next year. You must attend school all year. May 1st, where you are enrolled, is where you can play for the 2021 or 21-22 season. Students transferring after May 1st to a district that would allow this, assuming that it's not passed here, would not be eligible to participate at that school. And then they mentioned Ncaa implications. Reason being that Ncaa is only going to count your first 4 years of grades in terms for eligibility and scholarships and so on, if that makes sense to you. So if you've got a child that's interested in playing sports at the NCAA level, then only the first 4 years of grades in high school will count towards their eligibility requirements and most likely scholarship opportunities at those institutions. Underclass students, all right, things are a little bit different here, but the purpose is still the same. The purpose of the Senate bill, again, this was the first line of our first slide with all students, but I put it on here again. It's the purpose is for them to take classes they've already taken to supplement this school year. All right, the supplemental school year must be in person for them as well. Okay, that's the whole point of this, is that we're saying the pandemic has caused the issue with the schooling, and they're going to have to come to school to take advantage of this if approved.
The next sentence says that students will have the opportunity to improve their GPA, and they can do that, but they could also, it could go down, okay? Because whatever grade they get, if this is approved, whatever grade they get next year goes on their transcript as their grade. So you don't get to pick the better of the two. It's the grade that they get. If it's approved, it's the grade they get next year will be the grade that goes on their counts as their GPA.
And with that opportunity, if you're improving your GPA, you have a chance to better your KEYS money as an underclass student. I don't have that on there, but we mentioned that earlier. Only that not getting more KEYS money is only for the returning seniors. Okay, so an underclassman would have the opportunity, assuming that they improve their grade and receive the requirements for KEYS.
All right,
That basically sums up that packet that we gave you. That kind of breaks down what this is, the purpose, how it will work, and I'm sure there's still some more questions.
let me say this, and this is what I said on the east side.